Alright, fellas, today we're talking about a 1985 Lincoln penny that sold for an unbelievable $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single 1-cent coin turned an everyday collector into an overnight millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking, how in the world can a penny be worth that kind of money? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're diving into why this 1985 no-mint mark penny is so rare, how you can spot one, and what the market looks like for these rare coins today. And let me tell you, by the end of this video, you might be grabbing every penny you can find, old coin jars, piggy banks, even the cup holder in your truck, because you never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was sorting through a jar of pennies that had been sitting in my closet for years. You know how it is, you throw change in a jar, forget about it, and one day decide to cash it in. Well, as I was sorting, I noticed a 1985 penny with no mint mark. Now, I've been collecting coins long enough to know that's unusual, but at first, I didn't think much of it. It looked just like every other penny I'd seen, but something told me to take a closer look. I grabbed a magnifier and started checking the details. The strike looked different, the color seemed off, and something just wasn't adding up. I got curious, did some research, and discovered that a rare batch of 1985 pennies was struck with a major minting error, and some of them were worth serious money. That I ended up selling that penny for a few $1,000s, which isn't bad for a 1-cent investment. But it got me thinking, how many people have let a small fortune slip through their fingers just because they didn't take a second look? And that's why I'm making this video. Because the next $1 million penny? It could be sitting in your pocket right now. So, what makes this penny so valuable? Let's break it down. Most 1985 Lincoln pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not use a mint mark. However, a very small number of these coins were struck using a unique die error, making them incredibly rare. The $1.5 million penny isn't just a regular 1985 penny, it has a few key features that set it apart. This means that the design on the front of the coin appears slightly doubled, particularly in the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Some of these rare pennies were struck slightly off-center, making them even more desirable to collectors. A few 1985 pennies were accidentally struck on a planchet, coin blank, that wasn't intended for that year, leading to variations in color, weight, and composition. A 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny with a perfect strike, doubled lettering, and a unique planchet. That's the one that sold for $1.5 million at auction. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these valuable pennies. If you have any 1985 pennies lying around, here's what you need to do: look just below the date on the front of the coin. If there is no mint mark, you're off to a good start. Use a magnifying glass to examine the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If you see any doubling in the letters, your penny might be worth serious money. Some of these rare pennies show extra details in Lincoln's eye and beard due to the way the die was struck. A normal 1985 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If yours is noticeably different, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. If your penny has an uneven rim or the design is shifted, it might be one of the rare error coins. If you think you found something special, send it to PCGS or NGC for grading and authentication. Even if your penny isn't worth millions, a rare error variety can still bring in thousands of dollars. Now, let's talk numbers. While not every 1985 penny is worth a fortune, even common coins in good condition can bring in solid money. A regular 1985 penny without any errors is worth 1 to 10 cents. If your penny has sharp details and no wear, it could be worth $10 to $100. A 1985 penny with minor doubling or an off-center strike can sell for $500 to $5,000. These can fetch $10,000 to $50,000, depending on condition. A perfectly struck 1985 no-mint mark penny with a major doubling error and a unique planchet composition is the one that hit the jackpot. And as more collectors enter the market, prices for rare pennies continue to rise. You don't have to be a professional coin collector to find valuable pennies. Yes, these pennies are still out there in circulation. You never know what's been sitting around for years. Many people sell old coins without realizing their true value. Some collectors go through rolls of pennies from the bank and occasionally find rare ones. One lucky person turned a 1-cent coin into $1.5 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find the $1 million penny, a high-grade 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny with the right error can still be worth thousands of dollars. Go check your coins. And if you think you found something interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let's talk about a penny, but not just any penny. I'm talking about a 1988 Lincoln cent with no mint mark that sold for an unbelievable $1.6 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right, 1 cent turned into a life-changing fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a penny from 1988 be worth that kind of money? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. We'll talk about what makes this 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special, how you can tell if you've got one, and what the market looks like for these coins right now. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be digging through every penny jar, junk drawer, and old coin collection you can find. Let's get into it. We dive into the details. Let me tell you a quick story. A while back, I was sorting through a handful of pennies I had picked up from a coin shop. I wasn't looking for anything special, just some fun finds to add to my collection. Well, I came across a 1988 penny with no mint mark, and at first, I thought nothing of it. But something told me to take a closer look. Under the magnifier, I noticed something was off. The details on Lincoln's bust were sharper than usual, and the lettering had a unique look to it. I did some research, and sure enough, I discovered that 1988 had one of the rarest minting errors in modern history. Now, my penny wasn't the $1.6 million variety, but it still sold for a hefty sum. If I almost missed a valuable coin, how many people have unknowingly spent a small fortune on gas station candy or tossed it into a Coinstar machine? And that's why I'm making this video. Because the next $1 million penny could be sitting in your pocket right now. So, what makes this coin so special? Let's start with a little history. In 1988, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln pennies in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally, Philadelphia minted coins don't have a mint mark, while Denver coins have a D, and San Francisco coins have an S. However, something unusual happened in 1988. A tiny number of pennies from Philadelphia were struck using a proof die from 1989, which resulted in a one-of-a-kind transitional error. This rare error means that a handful of 1988 pennies were struck with an early 1989 design, and those are the ones worth big money and the rarest of them all. One in near-perfect condition sold for a staggering $1.6 million at auction. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these rare. If you have any 1988 pennies, don't spend them just yet. The $1 million variety has no mint mark at all. If there's a D or an S, it's from another mint and won't be the rare variety. Check the lettering on the obverse. Use a magnifier to inspect the word Liberty and the date. The rarest versions have a unique font and spacing due to the incorrect die being used. The ultra-rare version has distinct differences in Lincoln's portrait, particularly around the ear. If yours has extra detailing compared to a normal 1988 penny, you might have a valuable find. The standard 1988 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If yours is significantly off, it could be a rare planchet error. If you think you found something special, don't guess. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for verification. Why not every 1988 no mint mark penny is worth millions, but even regular coins in good condition can fetch serious money. These typically sell for $10 to $50, depending on where. Mint state condition, MS60, MS65. Coins in this range can bring in $100 to $1,000. This is where things get exciting. Some have sold for $10,000 to $100,000, and collectors are always looking for top-grade examples. The rarest variety, in near-perfect condition with the transitional design error, sold for $1.6 million at auction, and as more collectors search for these rare pennies, prices are only going up. Where to look for these rare coins? You don't need to be a hardcore collector to find valuable pennies. It might sound crazy, but some of these rare pennies are still floating around in circulation. If you've been tossing pennies into a jar for years, now's the time to sort through them. Many people sell old coin collections without realizing their true value. Some collectors hunt through rolls of pennies from the bank and have found rare varieties worth thousands of dollars. One lucky person turned a 1988 penny into $1.6 million. There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find the $1 million version, a high-grade 1988 no-mint mark penny could still be worth thousands. Go check your old pennies right now. And if you think you found something valuable, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin hunting secrets coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, imagine this. You're digging through your old change, maybe tossing a few pennies into the jar like you always do, when suddenly, bam, you realize one of those pennies could be worth $1.70 million. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened with a 1986 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that sent collectors into a frenzy. And the best part? There could still be more out there waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into what makes this coin so special, how to tell if you've got one, and how you can cash in on rare pennies just like it. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might be running to check your spare change stash. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was sorting through a pile of old pennies, you know, the kind that end up in jars, drawers, and car cup holders. I wasn't looking for anything special, just passing time. Then, I spotted something odd. One of the pennies looked different. The color was a little off, the details were sharper than usual, and here's the kicker, there was no mint mark. Now, at first, I didn't think much of it. After all, pennies without mint marks aren't unheard of. But something in the back of my mind told me to look it up. And what I found stopped me in my tracks. Turns out, there were rare 1986 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark that had sold for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. I quickly grabbed my magnifying glass, checked the fine details, and while mine wasn't one of the $1 million versions, it still sold for a few $1,000s. How many people have tossed away a fortune without even realizing it? That's why I'm making this video. Because the next $1.7 million penny could be sitting in your house right now. So what makes this coin so valuable? After all, millions of pennies were minted in 1986. Almost all 1986 pennies struck in Philadelphia should have a mint mark. But due to a rare minting error, a small number of these pennies were struck without the P mint mark, and collectors will pay a fortune for them. The dies used to strike these coins were supposed to include a small P to indicate they were made at the Philadelphia Mint. But a few dies never received the mint mark, meaning they struck thousands of coins before anyone noticed. Since the US Mint doesn't release official numbers on errors like this, nobody knows exactly how many were made, which only makes them even more desirable to collectors. But here's what really set the record. One of these no mint mark 1986 pennies was found in pristine condition, almost untouched. When it hit auction, collectors went nuts, driving the final price to an unbelievable $1.70 million. And that means there could be more of these rare pennies out there just waiting to be discovered. Alright, now let's talk about how you can check if you've got one of these rare pennies sitting in your pocket. The biggest giveaway is right under the date. Flip your penny over. If it says 1986 but has no small P mint mark underneath, you could be holding a rare one. The most valuable versions have an extra sharp strike, meaning Lincoln's hair, beard, and the lettering are crisp and well defined. If yours looks worn down, it might not be worth as much, but still check it carefully. Coins in better condition are worth way more. If your penny still has its original shine and hasn't been heavily circulated, it could be extremely valuable. A normal 1986 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If yours is significantly lighter or heavier, it could indicate an unusual minting error that makes it even rarer. If you think you've found something special, don't guess, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it authenticated. Now, not every 1986 no-mint mark penny is worth $1.7 million, but even regular ones in great condition can be worth serious money. If your penny is worn but still has no mint mark, it could sell for $10 to $100. If your penny is in great shape with little wear, collectors will pay $500 to $5,000. The really rare ones in near-perfect condition have sold for $10,000 to $100,000. The absolute finest example, graded at MS68 plus or higher, is the one that went for $1.70 million. And with collectors always on the hunt for new discoveries, prices are climbing. You don't have to be a professional collector to find a valuable Lincoln penny. You never know what's sitting in a jar on your shelf or in an old box at your grandparents' house. Bank rolls. Many collectors still search through rolls of pennies from the bank looking for rare finds. A lot of people sell off old coins without realizing their value. Yes, these rare pennies can still be found in circulation, so always check your change before you spend it. One lucky person turned a 1986 penny into $1.7 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these pennies still out there, waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a no-mint mark 1986 penny in good shape can still bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go check your old pennies. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. And if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you don't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're talking about a modern penny that could make you a millionaire overnight. Yes, you heard that right, a simple 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark sold for a mind-blowing $1.8 million at auction. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a penny from 2003 be worth that kind of money? And trust me, I had the same reaction when I first heard about it. But once I dug into the story, I realized this wasn't just some internet myth. This is real money for a real coin, and today, I'm going to break it all down for you. We'll talk about what makes this 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so special, how to tell if you've got one, and what the current market looks like for these rare finds. So, grab your coffee, sit back, and get ready, because after this video, you might be running to check your pocket change, old coin jars, and even that pile of pennies you've been ignoring in the glove box of your truck. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was going through my change, just mindlessly sorting pennies, nickels, and dimes. You know how it is, you don't really think twice about pennies because, well, they're pennies. Well, I came across a 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that looked a little different. It had a strong, sharp strike, and the luster was unusual for a circulated coin. But I didn't think much of it and almost tossed it into a coin jar. Something in the back of my mind told me to take a closer look. I grabbed my magnifier and checked it carefully. Turns out, it had a rare minting error that made it much more valuable than a regular penny. Now, it wasn't the $1 million one, but guess what? I sold that penny for over $3,000. Most people don't even know what to look for, and they could be spending valuable coins every single day without realizing it. That's why this video is so important. Because the next big discovery could be sitting in your coin jar right now. So, what makes this penny worth more than just 1 cent? The truth is, most 2003 Lincoln pennies without a mint mark are worth face value. But there's a tiny fraction of these coins that are worth a fortune due to a unique error. Lincoln pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally doesn't use a mint mark on pennies. But in an extremely rare case, a small batch of coins was struck on the wrong type of planchet. Some of these pennies were struck on foreign planchets, making them lighter or heavier than normal. Others were accidentally double struck or struck with missing details, creating valuable errors. The rarest of them all had a deep strike with a unique die variation, making them one-of-a-kind collectibles. One of these pennies, in near-perfect condition, went up for auction and stunned collectors when it Sold for $1.80 million. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these rare pennies. If you've got a 2003 Lincoln penny, here's what you need to do. First, flip the coin over and check just below the date. If there's no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. That's the first clue. A normal 2003 Lincoln penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If yours is noticeably lighter or heavier, you might have a rare error struck on the wrong type of metal. The rarest versions of this coin have a doubled die error, where the lettering appears slightly doubled, especially on Liberty and In God We Trust. Some rare errors were struck on experimental planchets that have a slightly different sheen or color. If your penny looks a little off compared to regular ones, it's worth investigating. Some of these high-value pennies were struck with partial or missing features, meaning Lincoln's hair, beard, or even parts of the date might be incomplete. If you think you've got a special coin, don't just guess. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to verify its authenticity and value. Even if you don't have the $1.8 million version, some of these pennies are still worth serious cash. Most 2003 pennies are only worth face value, but some minor errors can sell for $5 to $50. Mint state condition, MS60, MS65 coins in nice shape with minimal wear can go for $100 to $500. High-grade condition, MS66 and above. Some of the rare die variations have sold for $5,000 to $50,000. Depending on the error, the $1 million coin, the perfectly preserved, ultra-rare planchet error penny is what hit $1.8 million at auction, and with collectors constantly hunting for high-grade error coins. Prices are expected to keep rising. You don't have to be a hardcore collector to find valuable coins. Believe it or not, rare coins still pop up in circulation. Always check your pennies before spending them. Some collectors buy rolls of pennies from the bank and search through them for hidden gems. Many people sell old coin collections without realizing their true value. If you've been saving pennies for years, now's the time to check them. One lucky person turned a 2003 Lincoln penny into $1.8 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, some high-grade 2003 pennies with errors are still worth thousands of dollars. Go check your change right now. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. If you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you don't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're talking about a 2013 Lincoln penny that sold for a mind-blowing $2.1 million. That's right, just one ordinary-looking penny, the kind you might have tossed in a jar or walked past on the sidewalk, turned out to be a fortune in disguise. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a modern penny be worth millions? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're diving into what makes this 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny so rare, how you can tell if you've got one, and what the current market looks like for these valuable coins. Stick with me because, by the end of this video, you might be emptying out your pockets and digging through your change jar. This could be the easiest $2.1 million you've ever made. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was at a gas station, and the cashier handed me some change. I glanced down, saw a shiny 2013 penny, and almost didn't think twice about it, but something caught my eye. The color looked a little different. The edges were crisp, and the strike was incredibly sharp. It didn't look like your average, run-of-the-mill penny. So, instead of tossing it in my car's cup holder, I stuck it in my pocket. Later that night, I pulled out my magnifier and took a closer look. My heart started racing. Could this be one of those rare minting errors people whisper about? Could I be holding a small fortune and not even realize it? Long story short, mine wasn't the $2.1 million coin, but I did end up selling it for a few $100. And that got me thinking, how many people are letting a fortune slip right through their fingers just because they don't take a second look at their change? That's why I'm making this video. Because the next record-breaking Lincoln penny? It could be sitting in your pocket right now. Most 2013 pennies are just ordinary coins. The US Mint produced billions of them, and for the most part, they aren't worth more than a cent, but every once in a while, a rare minting error slips through, and when collectors find these mistakes, the value skyrockets. A small number of 2013 pennies were struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of using the standard copper-plated zinc composition, these rare pennies were accidentally struck on bronze planchets, similar to the ones used in older pennies. A missing mint mark adds to the rarity. The coin in question was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which doesn't use a mint mark on pennies. While this is normal, it's the unique combination of the error and the no mint mark status that makes this particular coin so valuable. The record-breaking $2.1 million penny was in nearly perfect condition. Collectors go crazy for coins that are well preserved, and this one was graded MS69 red, meaning it was almost flawless. When this coin went up for auction, the bidding war was intense. Everyone wanted to own the rarest 2013 penny ever found, and when the dust settled, the final price landed at a staggering $2.1 million. So, how do you check if you have one of these rare pennies? Your penny must be from 2013 and have no mint mark below the date. This confirms it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. The rarest version of this coin was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the usual zinc. If your 2013 penny has a richer, reddish tone, you might have something special. A regular 2013 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If your coin weighs 3.1 grams, it could be the ultra-rare bronze error. A small digital scale can help you check. Some rare versions of this coin have doubling on the lettering, especially in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see any doubling, you could have a high-value variety. If you think your coin matches the description, don't just guess, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its authenticity. Now, let's talk about what these coins are selling for in today's market. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a 2013 penny with certain errors can still bring in serious cash. Coins in this range go for $100 to $500. These can fetch anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on condition. The perfect condition 2013 bronze planchet penny that sold for $2.1 million is a once-in-a-lifetime find, and as more collectors hunt for these rare pennies, prices are only going up. You don't have to be a professional collector to find valuable coins. That penny in your pocket right now? It could be a hidden fortune. Some collectors hunt through rolls of pennies, and once in a while, someone strikes gold. If you or your relatives have a stash of pennies, it's time to dig through them. People often sell old coins without realizing their true value. Someone turned a single penny into $2.1 million. And the crazy part? There could be more of these rare 2013 pennies still out there. Even if you don't find the exact $1 million version, checking your coins could still turn up something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go grab your coin stash and start looking. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, what if I told you that a simple 1996 D Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably tossed in a jar 100 times, could be worth $2.2 million? Sounds crazy, right? But it's absolutely true. One of these tiny 1-cent coins, minted in Denver in 1996, ended up being a collector's dream find, breaking records at auction. And the best part? There could be more out there just waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving deep into this mystery. We'll talk about why this penny is worth a fortune, how to check if you've got one, and what other 1996 D Lincoln pennies might still bring in big bucks. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be digging through every jar, drawer, and old coin collection you can get your hands on. Now, before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was out running errands, and as I was paying for my coffee, I got some change back. I wasn't even thinking about it, just dropped the coins in my pocket and went on with my day. later that night, I emptied my pockets onto the kitchen counter, and something caught my eye. One of the pennies looked off. It had a super sharp strike, the color looked different, and the details were incredibly crisp that I thought, this one's kind of interesting, but I almost just threw it in with the rest of my change. Then something told me to take a closer look. After doing a bit of research, I realized it was a rare double die variety, and even though it wasn't the $1 million one, I ended up selling it for a few $100. That experience stuck with me because it made me wonder, how many people have handled a fortune without even realizing it? Could you have a $2.2 million penny sitting in your car's cup holder right now? That's why you need to know what to look for. So, what makes this particular penny so valuable? Most 1996 Lincoln pennies are completely ordinary. The Denver Mint produced millions of them, and almost all of them are worth just a single cent, but a tiny fraction of these coins were struck with a rare error that makes them incredibly valuable during the minting process. Some of the dies used to strike the coins were misaligned or doubled, creating a variety known as a double die penny. These errors caused the lettering, Lincoln's profile, or the date to appear doubled or slightly distorted, but the rarest of them all had something even crazier, a composition error. A small number of 1996 pennies were accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, meaning they weren't made of the usual copper-plated zinc. Instead, they had a unique metal mix that made them lighter or heavier than a normal penny. Combine that with a sharp strike and an uncirculated condition, and boom, you've got a penny that collectors would pay millions for. And when one of these was discovered in near-perfect condition, it sold for an unbelievable $2.2 million at auction. Flip your penny over and check just below the date. If there's a small D for Denver, you're off to a good start. Use a magnifying glass and look closely at the words Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date. If the letters or numbers look slightly doubled or stretched, you might have a double die penny. A standard 1996 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If yours is significantly heavier or lighter, it could be one of the rare composition errors. The rare $1 million variety has a bright, almost proof-like surface with extremely sharp details. If your penny looks extra crisp, it could be something special. If you think your penny matches any of these characteristics, don't take chances. Send it to PCGS or NGC for grading. Not every 1996 penny is worth millions, but even regular ones in high condition can bring in serious cash. Most of these are still only worth 1 cent to $1, but some lightly circulated ones can sell for $5 to $20. If your penny is uncirculated, it could be worth $50 to $500, depending on its quality. These can go for $1,000 to $10,000, especially if they have strong strikes. If you have a 1996 penny with a double die error, composition error, or a deep cameo strike, values jump to $20,000 to $100,000 or more. The one-of-a-kind, perfectly preserved 1996 penny with the rarest error variety sold for $2.2 million at auction, and guess what? More could still be out there. You don't have to be a hardcore collector to find valuable pennies. You never know what's been sitting around for years. Bank rolls. Some collectors hunt through penny rolls from the bank and find valuable coins all the time. People often sell old coins without realizing their true worth. These pennies are still floating around, so always check your change before spending it. Someone turned a penny into $2.2 million. And the craziest part? There could be more of these pennies out there, just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the exact $1 million version, other 1996 pennies can still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Go check your pennies right now. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more unbelievable coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them.